The last thing Zara Monroe remembered was the bitter taste of her aunt's lasagna. Now she was waking up in silk sheets that cost more than her tuition, staring at floor-to-ceiling windows that framed a city glittering 40 stories below. The door was locked. Her phone was gone. And standing in the shadows near the window was a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a Seoul fashion magazine, beautiful, cold, and absolutely terrifying. "You're awake," he said in an accent that made her skin prickle. "Good. We have much to discuss about your aunt's debts." That's when Zara Monroe realized her life had just been sold. Before we dive into Zara's story, drop a comment and let us know where are you watching from and what time is it over there. We love seeing our global community. Now let's get back to the moment everything changed. The room spun as Zara pushed herself upright. Her head throbbed, her mouth tasted like copper and chemicals, and her body felt like it was moving through water. "What?" Her voice cracked. She swallowed, tried again. "What did you do to me?" The man turned from the window. God, he was beautiful in the worst way possible. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that revealed nothing, a mouth that probably never smiled. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her car. "A mild sedative," he said, his English perfect but stilted. "Nothing permanent. You were becoming difficult." Difficult. Zara's hands fisted in the silk sheets. Memories crashed back. Aunt Regina's apartment, dinner, that last glass of wine. "Where's my aunt? Where am I? I swear to God if you don't. Your aunt is safe. For now." He moved closer and Zara instinctively pressed back against the headboard. He noticed. Something flickered across his face, not quite regret, but close. "My name is Kong Minjun, and you, Zara Monroe, are now in my custody." "Your custody?" Her laugh came out sharp, edged with hysteria. "I'm not a child. I'm 24 years old. You can't just, this is kidnapping. This is payment." The words dropped like stones into water. Zara stared at him. "What?" Minjun reached into his jacket pocket. For one heart-stopping moment, Zara thought gun. But he pulled out a folded paper and tossed it onto the bed. "Your aunt owes my organization $500,000. Gambling debts. She had 48 hours to pay." His voice was flat, businesslike, like he was discussing stock options. She couldn't. So she offered collateral. Zara's hands shook as she unfolded the paper. The words blurred, then sharpened. Promissory note. Regina Monroe. In lieu of payment. Niece, Zara Monroe. 1 year of service. "No." The word barely made it past her lips. "No, this isn't legal. You can't." "Legal." Minjun's eyebrow lifted slightly. "Miss Monroe, nothing about this situation is legal. But it is binding. At least to people like your aunt. And people like me." Zara's breath came in short gasps. The room tilted. She wouldn't. Regina wouldn't. She did. He moved to a side table, poured water from a crystal pitcher into a glass. She signed the papers 3 days ago. The sedative was her idea, actually. She thought it would be Kinder. Kinder. Zara's voice rose to a shout. "She drugged me. She sold me like I'm some kind of..." Her throat closed around the word. Minjun held out the water. When she didn't take it, he set it on the nightstand. "You are not what you're thinking. I am not that kind of man." "Really?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you're exactly. I need an assistant." His tone sharpened. "A translator. Someone who speaks Korean and English fluently. Someone educated. Your aunt mentioned you minored in Korean language. That you're finishing a master's in international business." Zara's mind raced. "So hire someone. Run an ad. Use a temp agency. You don't kidnap. I require loyalty. Discretion. Someone who understands the stakes." Minjun's eyes locked onto hers. "You will accompany me to meetings. Translate conversations. Attend events. Live here in this penthouse under my protection." Protection. She spat the word. "You mean surveillance?" "Both." He didn't deny it. "For 1 year, you work for me. At the end of that year, your aunt's debt is cleared. You go free. Your education is funded. You never hear from me again." Zara lunged off the bed, ignoring the way her legs nearly buckled. "And if I refuse?" If I go to the police right now, Minjun's expression didn't change, but something cold entered his eyes. Then your Aunt Regina dies. Painfully. Do you understand? This is not a negotiation. This is not a choice. This is reality. You're a monster. Yes. He said it simply, like agreeing to the weather. I am many terrible things, Miss Monroe. But I am also the only thing standing between your aunt and a very ugly death. Zara's knees gave out. She caught herself on the edge of the bed, breathing hard. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. But the paper in her hand was real. The locked door was real. The man watching her with those dark, unreadable eyes was terrifyingly real. She really did this? She was crying when she signed. Minjun moved back toward the window, giving her space. For what it's worth, I believe she does love you. Weak people often love the strongest. Don't. Zara's voice broke. Don't you dare talk about love. You don't know anything about. I know debt. I know desperation. I know survival. He stared out at the glittering city. Your aunt was going to die, Miss Monroe. Slowly. In pieces. She chose to save herself the only way she could. With you. Tears burned Zara's eyes. She refused to let them fall. Not in front of him. Not in front of this stranger who held her life in his hands like it was nothing. I want to see her. No. I want to. No, he turned back, and his voice was final. You will not contact your aunt. You will not attempt to leave. You will not go to the police. Any of these actions result in her death. Do you understand? Zara understood. God, she understood perfectly. She was trapped. What happens now? Her voice sounded hollow, defeated. She hated it. Now you rest. Tomorrow, you begin work. There's a closet filled with appropriate clothing. Sizes, his gaze flickered over her, clinical, should be correct. Your bathroom is stocked. Food will be brought to you. If you require anything specific, tell the housekeeper. A prison with room service. How luxurious. Minjun's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. This penthouse has every comfort, Miss Monroe. I suggest you take advantage of them. Your alternative options are considerably less pleasant. He moved toward the door. Zara watched him, her mind spinning through possibilities, escapes, weapons, anything. Don't, he said without turning around. Don't what? Whatever you're planning. I have security cameras throughout this penthouse. Except your bedroom and bathroom, you have those small privacies. But everywhere else, I'm watching. The windows don't open. The doors are locked and alarmed. There are guards in the building. You are, as you said, in custody. The door opened. He paused in the threshold. For what it's worth, Miss Monroe, I am sorry. This is not personal. Not personal? Zara's laugh was bitter. You bought me. Like property. Like I'm nothing. How is that not personal? Minjun looked back at her. For just a moment, something human flickered in those cold eyes. Regret? Guilt? She couldn't tell. Because if it were personal, he said quietly, this would be much worse. Sleep well, Miss Monroe. Your year begins tomorrow. The door closed. The lock clicked. Zara stood alone in her gilded cage, staring at the paper in her hands, at her aunt's signature, shaky, desperate, damning. Then, finally, she let herself cry. Zara didn't sleep. She spent the night cataloging every inch of her prison, testing windows that wouldn't budge, examining door frames, searching for vents large enough to crawl through. There were none. Minjun hadn't lied. This place was a fortress disguised as luxury. By the time pale morning light filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she'd made a decision. She wouldn't break. Not for him. Not for anyone. The door unlocked at exactly 7 a.m. A woman entered, 50s, Korean, impeccably dressed in a gray suit. She carried a silver tray with coffee and what looked like a traditional Korean breakfast. Good morning, Miss Monroe. I am Mrs. Huang, the housekeeper. Mr. Kong requests your presence in his office at 8 o'clock. He suggests you wear the navy suit. Zara didn't move from where she sat by the window. And if I don't? Mrs. Huang's expression didn't change. Then he will come here and escort you himself. The navy suit would still be preferable. She set down the tray and left. Zara stared at the food, beautifully arranged, probably delicious. She wanted to throw it against the wall. Instead, she ate. She'd need her strength. The closet was obscene. Designer labels she recognized from magazines she couldn't afford. Shoes that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Everything in her exact size, like he'd studied her, measured her, planned this down to the last detail. The thought made her skin crawl. She chose the navy suit not because he'd suggested it, but because it had pockets and made her look formidable. War paint, her mother used to call professional clothes. Armor for civilized battle. At exactly 8 o'clock, she walked into his office. Minjun sat behind a massive desk of dark wood and glass, typing on a laptop. He didn't look up. Sit. I prefer to stand. Sit, Miss Monroe. We have a long day ahead. Zara remained standing. What exactly do you expect me to do? He finally looked up. His gaze traveled over her outfit, lingered for a fraction of a second, then returned to her face. The suit is acceptable. We have a meeting in Koreatown at 10. You'll accompany me. Listen. Translate if necessary. Say nothing unless I instruct you to speak. You want me to be your puppet? I want you to be competent. He closed the laptop. These men are dangerous, Miss Monroe. They will look for weakness. Do not provide it. Dangerous. She laughed sharply. You mean like kidnapping someone? Considerably worse. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket. The men were meeting traffic in things far more valuable than personal assistance. Do not draw their attention. Do not make yourself memorable. Am I clear? Something in his tone made her pause. Was that concern? Crystal, she said coldly. The car was a black SUV with tinted windows and 2 men in the front seat who looked like they ate nails for breakfast. Minjun opened the back door, waited. Zara climbed in. He slid in beside her, maintaining careful distance. They drove in silence through LA traffic. Zara watched the city pass, her city, suddenly foreign. People walking to coffee shops, living normal lives free. She wanted to scream at them through the window. Help me. I'm right here. Help. Don't even think about it. Minjun's voice was quiet. About what? Signaling someone. Making a scene at a red light. Whatever escape fantasy you're constructing. He didn't look at her, just stared straight ahead. It would end badly. For you. For your aunt. For whatever innocent person you involved. Zara's hands clenched in her lap. You think of everything, don't you? I've had to. Something in his voice made her glance over. His profile was sharp against the window, jaw tight, eyes distant. For just a moment, he looked tired. Then it was gone. The restaurant in Koreatown looked ordinary. Red paper lanterns, a faded sign in Korean and English. But the moment they walked in, Zara felt the shift in atmosphere. The few customers fell silent. The owner rushed over, bowing deeply. Mr. Kong, your usual room is ready. They were led through the restaurant to a private room in the back. 3 men sat around a low table, drinking soju. They stood when Minjun entered. The oldest 60s, with scars on his knuckles, smiled. Kong Minjun. You bring a guest? My new assistant. Miss Monroe. Minjun's hand touched the small of Zara's back, guiding her to sit. She flinched at the contact. His fingers pressed slightly, a warning. She sat. An American assistant. The man's smile widened, showing gold teeth. How progressive. Miss Monroe speaks Korean. Minjun poured tea with practiced ease. She'll be accompanying me to all meetings from now on. All meetings. One of the younger men leaned forward, his gaze sliding over Zara in a way that made her want to shower. She must be very talented. The air in the room shifted. Dangerous. Minjun's hand moved so fast Zara almost missed it. One moment he was holding a teacup. The next, it shattered against the wall beside the young man's head. Speak about her again like that. Minjun's voice was soft, deadly, and we'll see how talented you are at breathing through broken teeth. Silence. The older man laughed, breaking the tension. Still so protective of your possessions, Minjun. Some things never change. He switched to Korean, rapid fire. Now, about the shipment from Busan. They talked for an hour. Zara listened, understanding more than she wanted to. Money laundering through legitimate businesses. Shipments of merchandise that were definitely not legal. Protection rackets. But also, unexpectedly, discussions of going legitimate. Investments in real estate. Tech startups. Minjun was arguing with the older men, she realized. Pushing for change. For getting out. The old ways are dying, Choi SSI, Minjun said, still in Korean. The police are smarter now. The feds watch everything. We adapt or we disappear. You sound like your father. The old man's eyes narrowed. Before they put a bullet in his head for being weak. Zara felt Minjun tense beside her. His face remained impassive. My father, he said quietly, died because he trusted the wrong people. I don't make that mistake. Back in the car, Zara couldn't stay quiet. Those men are criminals. Yes. Human trafficking. Money laundering. Probably worse. Definitely worse. She turned to face him. And you're one of them. Minjun finally looked at her. I am the son of a man who was murdered for trying to leave. I am the brother of a sister who would be killed if I didn't maintain power. I am many terrible things, Miss Monroe. But I am also the only thing keeping worse men from taking control. That's not an excuse. No, he looked away. It's not. It's just reality. You talked about going legitimate. Back there. His eyebrow lifted slightly. Your Korean is better than I expected. Answer the question. Why? His gaze was sharp now, searching. What does it matter to you? Because I'm trapped in this with you. Zara's voice rose despite herself. Because maybe if you're trying to get out, there's something in you that's not completely. Don't. The word cracked like a whip. Don't make me into something I'm not. Don't create a narrative where I'm redeemable. I bought you, Miss Monroe. I own your time for the next year. That is not the action of a good man. Then why defend me? Back there, with that man who? Because you're under my protection. That's all. But his jaw was tight, his hands clenched. Don't read more into it. Zara sat back, frustrated. You're a contradiction. I'm a survivor. He pulled out his phone, effectively ending the conversation. We have 2 more meetings today. Then I have business tonight you won't attend. Mrs. Huang will ensure you have dinner. How generous. Mock me all you want, Miss Monroe. You're still in my car. In my custody. Living in my home. He didn't look up from his phone. But I meant what I said. You're under my protection. No one touches you. No one disrespects you. Not while you're mine. While you're mine. The words hung in the air between them like smoke. Zara turned to the window, watched the city blur past, and wondered how long it would take before she stopped looking for escapes that didn't exist. In the reflection of the glass, she caught Minjun watching her. When their eyes met in the reflection, he looked away first. Small victory. But she'd take it. That night, alone in the penthouse while he was out doing God knows what criminal activities, Zara sat at the laptop he'd left her, monitored, she was sure, but still access to the world. She typed, Kang Minjun, Korean Mafia, Los Angeles. The search results made her blood run cold. The Choi Syndicate. Multiple murders. Federal investigations. And Minjun's father, killed execution style 15 years ago along with his wife. The son, then 17, had taken over within a year. Ruthless. Efficient. Untouchable. She was living with a ghost who'd learned to be a monster. The door opened. Zara quickly closed the browser, but she wasn't fast enough. Find anything interesting? Minjun stood in the doorway, his tie loosened, a cut above his eyebrow that was still bleeding. What happened to you? Business disagreement. He touched the cut, winced. Nothing significant. You're bleeding. I'm aware. They stared at each other across the room. Zara stood, not sure why. Do you need help with that? Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise? The first aid kit is in the kitchen. If you're offering. She wasn't sure what possessed her to nod. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the need to do something normal in this nightmare. Maybe something else she didn't want to examine. In the kitchen, under fluorescent lights, Minjun sat on a bar stool while Zara cleaned the cut with antiseptic. He didn't flinch. You researched me. It wasn't a question. Yes. And you're exactly what I thought you were. She pressed the antiseptic-soaked cotton to his forehead perhaps harder than necessary. A monster. Then why are you doing this? Zara paused. Good question. Because even monsters bleed. Doesn't make you less dangerous. Just makes you mortal. His hand caught her wrist, not roughly, but firmly. Don't mistake mortality for weakness, Miss Monroe. Many mortal men are still deadly. Up close, his eyes were darker than she'd realized. Almost black. She could smell his cologne, something expensive and cedar-like. His thumb pressed against her pulse point. Could he feel how fast her heart was racing? Let go of me. He did immediately. Zara stepped back, putting the counter between them. I'm going to bed. Miss Monroe. She stopped at the doorway, didn't turn around. Thank you. He paused. For your help. She didn't respond. Just walked away, feeling his eyes on her back until she closed her bedroom door. Later, lying in silk sheets she didn't ask for, Zara stared at the ceiling and wondered what she'd seen in his eyes when she'd touched his face. And wondered why she cared. 3 months felt like 3 years. Zara had learned the rhythm of her captivity, morning meetings in Koreatown, afternoons translating documents she wished she couldn't understand, evenings alone while Minjun conducted business she wasn't privy to. She'd stopped looking for escapes. There were none. She'd stopped hating every moment. Some moments were just empty. That was worse, somehow. You're getting better. Minjun handed her a folder as they sat in the back of the SUV. Your Korean pronunciation. It's nearly flawless now. Hard not to improve when it's all I do. Zara flipped through the documents, another deal, another front company, another step in whatever long game he was playing. These numbers don't make sense. Which ones? She pointed. These investments. You're losing money on purpose. Funneling it into, what is this? Youth programs? After-school initiatives. Minjun was quiet for a moment. Keep reading. Community centers. Scholarship funds. Minjun, she looked up confused. This is charity. It's strategy. But his voice was tight. Children who have options don't join gangs. Communities with resources don't need protection rackets. I'm not a philanthropist, Miss Monroe. I'm eliminating future competition. By helping people. By being pragmatic. Zara studied his profile. You keep telling me what you're not. You never say what you are. I'm a man who does what's necessary. That's all. Before she could respond, the driver's voice cut through the intercom. Mr. Kong. We have a problem. Minjun's entire body shifted, from businessman to predator in a heartbeat. What kind of problem? 2 cars. Following us for the last 6 blocks. Park's men, I think. Think or no? No. They just moved to box us in. Minjun's hand went to his jacket, a gun. Zara realized with ice in her stomach. He had a gun. Lose them. Now. The SUV accelerated. Zara grabbed the door handle as they swerved through traffic. Behind them, tires squealed. What's happening? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Park Dae-young. Rival organization. We've been disagreeing about territory. Minjun was texting rapidly on his phone. He's making a move. A move? What does that? The rear window exploded. Zara screamed. Minjun shoved her down, his body covering hers as glass rained over them. Another shot. Another. The SUV swerved violently. Drive. Minjun shouted. Don't stop for anything. They were flying through red lights now, weaving between cars. Horns blared. More gunshots, these hitting the reinforced panels. The driver cursed in Korean, sharp and vicious. Zara's mind raced. This was her chance. The car would have to stop eventually. She could run. Flag down police. This was. Minjun's phone buzzed. He answered, still covering her. Yuna. A woman's voice, rapid Korean. Minjun's face went white. When? How many? No, stay there, lock everything. Don't. He listened, and something in his expression cracked. I'm coming. Hold on. He hung up. Looked at the driver. Change of plans. We're going to the safe house. Now. Sir, with them following. I don't care. My sister is there and she's alone. Move. The SUV took a corner so hard Zara slammed against the door. Minjun steadied her and she saw it, real fear in his eyes. Not for himself. For someone else. They know about Yuna? Zara asked. They know everything. His jaw was tight. This is a coordinated attack. They're hitting all my properties at once. Trying to. Another explosion of gunfire. This time the back tire. The SUV spun, and Zara's world became a carousel of glass and metal and Minjun's arms around her, protecting her even as they crashed. The world came back in pieces. Smoke. The hiss of a destroyed engine. Minjun dragging her out of the wreckage. The driver was dead, slumped over the steering wheel, blood everywhere. Can you run? Minjun's voice in her ear. Zara nodded, though her legs felt like water. Then run. Now. They ran. Behind them, car doors slammed. Shouts in Korean. They were in an alley, industrial area, warehouses, nowhere to hide. Minjun pulled her behind a dumpster, breathing hard. Listen to me. He grabbed her face, forcing her to look at him. There's a door. 20 feet ahead. Red door. It leads to an underground parking garage. There's an exit on the other side that opens onto Olympic Boulevard. You run there. You flag down a car. You get away. What? No, I'm not. This is your chance, Miss Monroe. His eyes were intense, desperate. They want me. Not you. You can escape. Right now. This is what you've wanted for 3 months. She stared at him. He was right. This was her chance. Freedom. Police. Her life back. Footsteps echoed in the alley. Getting closer. Go. Minjun pushed her toward the door. Go now. Zara ran. Reached the door. Grabbed the handle. Turned around. Minjun had stepped out from behind the dumpster, gun raised, facing 4 men who'd rounded the corner. They had him surrounded. Outgunned. She saw it happen in slow motion, one of them raising a rifle, aiming at Minjun's back. A position he couldn't see from where he stood. Zara didn't think. Just screamed. Behind you. Minjun spun. Fired. The man dropped. But it cost him. Another attacker lunged, and they went down in a tangle of fists and weapons. Zara should have run. Should have escaped. Should have saved herself. Instead, she grabbed a piece of broken pipe from the ground and charged. She'd never hit anyone before. The impact jarred her entire arm as the pipe connected with the attacker's skull. He went down. Minjun stared at her, blood running from his split lip. What are you doing? I don't know. She was shaking. I don't know, you were going to die. You should have run. I know. Another attacker came at them. Minjun shot him, center mass, efficient, terrifying. The last man hesitated, then fled. Silence. Just their breathing and the distant sound of sirens. Minjun grabbed her arm. We need to move. Now. Before police arrive. They ran together through the underground garage, emerged onto Olympic Boulevard. A black car screeched to a halt beside them, Minjun's people, somehow tracking them. They dove in. The safe house, Minjun ordered. Is Yuna. She's secure, sir. She fought them off. But the penthouse is compromised. They're burning it. Minjun leaned back, closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, he looked at Zara. You stayed. I'm an idiot. You saved my life. I'm an idiot, she repeated, but her voice broke. His hand found hers in the darkness of the car. Squeezed once. Thank you. The safe house was a nondescript apartment in Silver Lake. The door opened before they reached it. A woman stood there, late 20s, stylish even in distress, with Minjun's eyes and sharper cheekbones. She launched herself at him. Appa. She was crying, speaking rapid Korean. They came with guns, so many of them, but I locked down the system and triggered the alarms and... You're safe. That's all that matters. Minjun held her, and Zara saw something she'd never seen before, tenderness. Real, unguarded emotion. Yuna, this is Miss Monroe. He stopped. What was she? Assistant? Captive? The woman who just saved his life? Zara, she said. Call me Zara. Yuna's sharp eyes took her in, the torn suit, the blood, not hers, the way she was still shaking. You were in the attack? She stayed. Minjun's voice was quiet. When she could have escaped. She stayed and fought. Yuna's expression changed, surprise, then assessment, then something calculating. Then you're either very loyal or very stupid. Stupid, Zara and Minjun said simultaneously. Despite everything, Yuna laughed. Come in. Both of you look terrible. I'll make tea. Inside, while Yuna busied herself in the kitchen, Minjun cleaned his wounds at the sink. Zara watched him, the careful, practiced efficiency. He'd done this before. Many times. You should have run. He didn't look at her. I know. You'd be free right now. I know. So why? He finally met her eyes in the mirror's reflection. Why didn't you? Zara was quiet for a long moment. When I was 8, my parents and I were in a car accident. Drunk driver, head-on collision. My dad, he could have gotten out. His door wasn't crushed. But my mom was trapped in the passenger seat. So he stayed. Tried to free her. Did he? No. They both died. Only I survived. She wrapped her arms around herself. For years, I thought he was stupid for staying. That he should have saved himself. But then I grew up, and I understood he couldn't have lived with himself if he'd abandoned her. Some choices aren't about logic. They're about who you are. Minjun turned to face her fully. And who are you, Zara Monroe? I don't know anymore. Her voice was barely a whisper. 3 months ago, I knew exactly who I was. Now I'm standing in a safe house with the man who bought me, having just helped him fight off assassins, and I don't know anything. He took a step toward her. Then another. Until they were close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. I was 15 when my parents were killed. Execution style. They made me watch. His voice was flat, but his hands trembled. They said it was because my father was going soft. Trying to go legitimate. Turning his back on the old ways. Minjun. Yuna was only 9. They were going to kill her too. So I made a deal. I'd take over. I'd be exactly what they needed me to be: ruthless, cold, efficient. As long as they left her alive. Zara's throat tightened. You were just a child. I was a survivor. Just like you. He reached out, his fingers barely grazing her cheek. I've spent 17 years being what everyone needed me to be. And then you stubborn, defiant, impossible you stayed when you should have run. Why? Because she stopped, not sure how to finish that sentence. Because I've seen who you really are? Because you're not just a monster? Because somewhere in the last 3 months, the lines blurred? Because I couldn't let you die, she finally said. Even if I should have wanted to. The air between them was electric. Dangerous. This is a mistake, Minjun said, but he didn't move away. I know. You should hate me. I do. But her voice cracked. I hate you so much. Good. His thumb traced her jawline. Keep hating me. It's safer. For who? For both of us. Yuna's voice called from the kitchen. Tea's ready. And I made ramen because apparently we're having a crisis bonding moment. The spell broke. Minjun stepped back, and the walls went up again. But not completely. Not anymore. Later, sitting around Yuna's small table eating spicy noodles like this was normal, like they hadn't almost died, Zara caught Minjun watching her with an expression she couldn't read. What? She asked. You have excellent instincts in a crisis. Don't sound so surprised. I'm not. He set down his chopsticks. I'm impressed. And that's rare. Yuna kicked him under the table. That's the closest to a compliment you'll ever get. Treasure it. Zara found herself almost smiling. Then reality crashed back. What happens now? They burned your penthouse. They know about all of us. Now, Minjun's expression hardened. Now we fight back. Park thinks I'm weak because I'm trying to go legitimate. He's about to learn exactly how wrong he is. Appa. Yuna's voice held warning. This ends, Yuna. One way or another. He looked at Zara. Which means you need to decide. I can arrange protection for you. Send you somewhere Park will never find you. You'll be free of all this. And my aunt. Her debt was paid 2 months ago. I didn't tell you because he trailed off. Because. Zara's heart hammered. Because I didn't want you to leave. The admission hung in the air like a confession. Zara stood abruptly. I need air. She walked to the small balcony, gripped the railing, breathed the cool night air. Free. She could leave. Right now. It was over. So why did that thought feel like losing something? The door opened behind her. Minjun leaned against the frame, giving her space. I'm sorry, he said. For all of it. For taking your choice. For keeping you when I should have let you go. Why did you? She turned to face him. Really? Why did you keep me? He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because you looked at me like I was human. Not a monster. Not a weapon. Not a ghost. Just a man. And I'd forgotten what that felt like. Zara's chest tightened. That's not a good reason. No. It's a selfish reason. He met her eyes. But it's the truth. You make me want to be the man I was supposed to become. Before everything went wrong. Before I became this. Minjun. You're free, Zara. Truly free. Stay or go. It's your choice. He went back inside, leaving her alone with the night and a decision that felt impossible. Stay with the man who'd stolen her freedom? Or leave and lose, what? A captor? A contradiction? Something that might have become more if circumstances were different? Inside, she heard Minjun and Yuna arguing softly in Korean. About her. About safety. About impossible things. Zara looked out at the city lights, her city, full of normal people living normal lives. She could have that again. She should want that again. But when she closed her eyes, all she saw was Minjun's face when he'd told her to run. When he'd chosen to protect her instead of himself. When he looked at her like she was the answer to a question he'd been asking his whole life. Stupid, she whispered to herself. Then she turned and walked back inside. 6 months in, and Zara had stopped counting days. The safe house had become something unexpected, almost comfortable. Yuna had insisted she stay, just until things calmed down, which somehow turned into weeks. Minjun worked from there, conducting business through encrypted channels while Zara translated documents and pretended this was normal. It wasn't normal. Nothing about this was normal. Especially not the way Minjun looked at her during their late-night Korean lessons. Again. Minjun tapped the textbook. The formal conjugation. Zara's pronunciation was flawless now. Good. Now informal. Better. You're losing the American accent entirely. He leaned back on the couch, and in the lamplight, he looked younger. Less like a crime lord, more like just a man. At this rate, you'll sound native. Is that the goal? Perfect assimilation into your world. Something flickered across his face. My world isn't one you should want to assimilate into, Zara. First names now. That had started 2 weeks ago. A slip on his part that became habit. And yet here I am. She closed the textbook. Still here. Even though I'm free to go. Why are you still here? He asked it like he genuinely didn't know. Like her presence confused him as much as it confused her. Zara didn't have a good answer. Maybe I'm curious how this story ends. Most stories like this end badly. Most. Not all. Minjun's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. Yuna's working late again. 3rd night this week. She's 27. She's allowed to work late. She's also my responsibility. And with Park still out there, he stood, agitated. I should go check on her. Or you could call her like a normal person. I'm not a normal person. Trust me, I've noticed. Zara stood too. But maybe try it anyway? The whole, treating people like adults thing. He stared at her. Then, surprisingly, pulled out his phone and called. Yuna answered on the 3rd ring, her voice tinny through the speaker. Appa, I'm fine. I'm at the office. Stop helicoptering. I'm not helicoptering, You're helicoptering. I have 3 security guards and a panic button. I'll be home by midnight. A pause. Is Zara there? Put her on. Minjun handed over the phone, looking bemused. Hey Yuna. Thank God. Listen, I need a favor. There's a box of Thai food in the fridge. Make sure my idiot brother eats. He forgets when he's stressed. Zara glanced at Minjun, who was definitely listening. I'll try. Also, whatever's happening between you two, stop dancing around it. Life's too short, especially in our world. Yuna hung up before Zara could respond. Silence filled the apartment. She's not subtle, Minjun finally said. No, she's really not. Zara headed to the kitchen. Thai food? I'm not hungry. Yuna says you are. And I'm learning not to argue with your sister. She pulled out containers, started opening them. Pad Thai or green curry? Zara. Pick one or you're getting both. He appeared in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. You're bossy when you're comfortable. You say that like it's a bad thing. It's unexpected. He moved closer, took the curry container from her hands. 3 months ago, you wouldn't speak to me unless forced. 3 months ago, you were just my captor. She met his eyes. Now you're complicated. Complicated. He tested the word. Is that what we're calling this? What would you call it? Minjun set down the container. They were close now, the small kitchen forcing proximity. I don't know. I've never been in this situation before. What, standing in a kitchen? Standing in a kitchen with someone who makes me forget why I built walls in the first place. His voice was low, almost rough. Someone who should hate me but looks at me like I might be worth saving. Zara's breath caught. Minjun, I think about you constantly. The confession came out like it hurt. When I'm in meetings. When I'm handling business. When I'm trying to sleep. You're there. In my head. Making me question everything I've become. That sounds uncomfortable. It's torture. But he smiled slightly. Beautiful torture. They stood there, the space between them charged with everything unsaid. Zara could feel her heart hammering. This was dangerous territory. This was, you should eat. She stepped back, breaking the moment. Before it gets cold. Disappointment flashed across his face, quickly hidden. Of course. Practical. They ate in silence, sitting at the small table. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was something else. Anticipatory. Like they were both waiting for something neither could name. Tell me about your parents, Zara said suddenly. Not how they died. Who they were. Minjun's chopsticks paused halfway to his mouth. Why? Because all I know is the tragedy. I want to know the people. He was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, my father loved jazz. American jazz. Miles Davis especially. He'd play it in his office and my mother would dance. She was a terrible dancer. No rhythm. But she'd dance anyway, and he'd watch her like she was the most beautiful thing in the world. Zara smiled. That's lovely. He wanted out. Of the life. He had a plan, legitimate businesses, clean investments, a normal life for me and Yuna. He was so close. Minjun's voice hardened. 3 months away from being free. Then they killed him for it. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me a valuable lesson. He met her eyes. In this world, wanting better gets you killed. Staying ruthless keeps you alive. And yet you're trying to go legitimate. Just like he was. I know. The irony isn't lost on me. Maybe. Zara chose her words carefully. Maybe the lesson wasn't that wanting better is wrong. Maybe it was that he needed to be stronger. Smarter. More prepared. Minjun stared at her. You think I can succeed where he failed? I think you're more ruthless than he ever was. More strategic. More, she paused. More willing to do whatever it takes. Even the terrible things. Maybe that's what it takes to actually get out. You sound like you approve. I don't approve of the methods. But I understand the goal. She leaned forward. You're not your father, Minjun. You're what he would have needed to be to survive. Maybe that means you can actually finish what he started. Something shifted in his expression. How do you do that? Do what? Make me believe impossible things might be possible. Before Zara could respond, he stood abruptly. I need to show you something. He led her to the small office, unlocked a safe she hadn't known was there. Inside were folders, documents, blueprints. This is my exit strategy. 5 years of planning. Legitimate businesses that are already profitable. Investments that can't be traced back to criminal activity. A complete restructuring of the organization. He spread papers across the desk. In 2 years, maybe 3, I could be completely clean. Legitimate. Free. Zara scanned the documents. They were brilliant, complex, layered, foolproof if executed correctly. This is incredible. Why are you showing me this? Because if something happens to me, someone needs to know. Someone needs to be able to finish it. He turned to her. Yuna knows pieces, but not everything. I couldn't risk her having all the information if someone came after her. But you barely know me. I know you saved my life when you could have run. I know you're brilliant. Your insights into the business have been sharper than anyone's. I know you understand the endgame because you want better too. He stepped closer. And I know I trust you. Which is terrifying and stupid and completely against every survival instinct I have. Minjun, I'm falling for you. The words came out raw, honest. I know I shouldn't. I know this started with me taking your choice, your freedom, your life. I know I'm the last person who deserves your anything. But I can't stop it. Can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting. Zara kissed him. She didn't plan it. Didn't think about it. Just reached up and pulled him down and pressed her lips to his, cutting off words that were breaking her heart and mending it simultaneously. He froze for half a second. Then his arms came around her, pulling her closer, and he was kissing her back like he was drowning and she was air. It was desperate. Hungry. Months of tension and unspoken want crashing together. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minjun pressed his forehead to hers. This is a mistake, he whispered. Probably. You should hate me. I do. Sometimes. She pulled back enough to see his face. And sometimes I look at you and see someone trying so hard to be better than what they were made into. And I can't hate that person. No matter how much I should. Zara, I'm not saying this is smart. Or healthy. Or anything a therapist would approve of. She laughed shakily. But I'm tired of pretending I don't feel this. Whatever this is. Minjun cupped her face in his hands. If we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back. You understand that? I stopped being able to go back months ago. He kissed her again, softer this time. Gentle. Like she was something precious he was afraid to break. Stay tonight, he murmured against her lips. Not because you have to. Because you want to. Zara knew this was dangerous. Knew she was falling for her captor, playing into every toxic dynamic. Knew a therapist would have a field day with this. But she also knew that somewhere in the last 6 months, the man who'd bought her had become someone she couldn't imagine being without. Okay, she whispered. Later, wrapped in his arms in his bed, Minjun traced patterns on her shoulder. Tell me something true, he said quietly. About what? About you. Something I don't know. Zara thought. When I was little, my mom used to say I had a compass inside me that always pointed toward right. That I'd never be able to ignore injustice or walk away from someone who needed help. She laughed softly. I think she'd be horrified by where that compass led me. Or proud that you stayed true to it even when it was hard. Minjun's voice was thoughtful. Even when it meant staying with a monster. You're not a monster. Yes, I am. But maybe. He pulled her closer. Maybe with you, I could be something else too. Outside, the city hummed with late-night life. Inside, they lay in comfortable silence, two damaged people finding something unexpected in the ruins of terrible circumstances. Zara's phone buzzed. A text from Yuna. Did he eat? Also, I'm staying at a friend's tonight. You're welcome. Your sister is terrifying, Zara said. Minjun laughed, a real laugh, warm and genuine. She likes you. She's never liked anyone I've brought around before. You bring people around? Business associates. People I need to impress. Weapons I deploy. He turned her to face him. Never someone who mattered. And I matter? You matter so much it scares me. He kissed her forehead. Sleep. Tomorrow, reality returns. Tonight, let's pretend we're just two people who found each other. Zara closed her eyes, letting herself sink into the fantasy. Just for tonight. But somewhere in the back of her mind, a voice whispered that fantasies built on lies never lasted. She ignored it and let herself fall asleep in the arms of the man who'd stolen her freedom and somehow given her something she'd never expected. A reason to stay. 8 months felt like a lifetime and a heartbeat simultaneously. Zara woke up tangled in Minjun's sheets, morning light streaming through windows she'd once stared at like prison bars. Now they just looked like windows. Normal. Almost beautiful. His arm was draped across her waist, his breathing slow and even against her neck. She'd learned he slept light, always one ear listening for danger. But with her, he slept deeper. Like he finally felt safe. The thought made her chest ache. You're awake. His voice was rough with sleep. I can tell by your breathing. Creepy. How long have you been monitoring my breathing patterns? Months. He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. You breathe faster when you're thinking too hard. What are you thinking about? How did I get here? How did the man who kidnapped me become the person I can't imagine waking up without? Coffee, she lied. I'm thinking about coffee. Minjun laughed and released her. Liar. But I'll allow it. He stood, completely unself-conscious in his nakedness, and Zara let herself look. The scars she'd learned bullet wound on his left shoulder, knife slash across his ribs, burn mark on his hip from when he was 16. Each scar a story. Each story making him more complicated. Stop staring, he said without turning around. You're making me self-conscious. You've never been self-conscious a day in your life. False. I'm constantly self-conscious around you. He pulled on sweatpants, glanced back with a small smile. You see too much. It's unsettling. Good. You're too controlled. Someone should unsettle you. He crossed back to the bed, leaned down, and kissed her slow and deep and perfect. You unsettle everything. It's terrifying and wonderful and he stopped. You what? Her heart hammered. I'll make coffee. He pulled away, and the walls went up slightly. Not completely, but enough that she noticed. They were having breakfast when Yuna burst in, looking like she'd run all the way from downtown. We have a problem. Minjun was on his feet instantly. What kind of problem? The park situation. It's escalating. He's been making moves, buying off your allies, targeting your legitimate businesses. But that's not the worst part. Yuna's eyes flicked to Zara, uncertain. Say it, Minjun said flatly. He knows about her. About Zara. There are photos, you two at that gallery opening last week, at the restaurant, everywhere. He's been watching. The temperature in the room dropped. How long? Minjun's voice was deadly calm. At least a month. Maybe longer. Yuna pulled out her tablet, showed them surveillance photos. Zara's stomach turned seeing herself and Minjun captured in candid moments, laughing, touching, being together. He's planning something. Using her as leverage. Then we increase security. Triple the guards. She doesn't leave the apartment without Minjun. Zara's voice cut through his planning. I'm not a prisoner anymore, remember? You can't just lock me away. If it keeps you safe. No, she stood. We've been through this. I stayed because I chose to. That doesn't mean I'm going back to being kept. Yuna watched them, fascinated. You two are really bad at this whole relationship thing. We're not, Minjun started. We haven't defined, Zara said simultaneously. Right. Not in a relationship. Just sleeping together and making heart eyes constantly. My mistake. Yuna rolled her eyes. Look, the point is Park is making you a target, Zara. Whether you're Minjun's girlfriend, assistant, or whatever weird undefined thing you are, you're leverage. And leverage gets used. The word hit hard. Leverage. Like being collateral all over again. Minjun must have seen something in her face because his expression softened. This is different. This isn't about debt or control. This is about keeping you alive. Is it? Or is this just another version of the same thing? You making decisions about my life without asking me. That's not fair. Isn't it? Zara's voice rose. You're already planning my life. Triple guards. Don't leave the apartment. When do I get a say? When your say doesn't end with you dead. Minjun shouted, then caught himself. Took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice was strained. I can't, Zara, I can't lose you. Not to Park. Not to anyone. If something happened to you because of me, because of what I am, I couldn't. Maybe you should have thought about that before you made me part of this world. The words hung between them like a blade. Yuna cleared her throat. I'm going to go somewhere else. Anywhere else. She fled. Silence. You're right. Minjun's voice was quiet. I should have thought about that. Should have let you go months ago when you were free. Should have kept my distance. Should have, he laughed bitterly. Should have done 1,000 things differently. Zara's anger deflated. That's not what I meant. Yes, it was. And you're right. He moved to the window, stared out at the city. Everything I touch, I destroy. It's what I'm good at. It's what I was trained to do. And now I'm destroying you too. Minjun. There's something I need to tell you. He didn't turn around. Something I should have told you months ago. But I was selfish and stupid and I don't know what I thought. Dread pulled in Zara's stomach. Tell me what? The The debt. Your aunt's debt. He turned, and his face was anguished. It was never 500,000. It was 50. Just 50,000. Zara went very still. What? I saw you. Before all this. At a charity event 6 months before I brought you here. You were volunteering, translating for Korean donors. You were brilliant. Compassionate. Everything I wasn't. And he stopped, swallowed hard. I became obsessed. Found out everything about you. Your name, your school, your aunt. No, the word came out strangled. When Regina came to us with her debt, I saw an opportunity. I inflated it. Made it sound impossible to pay. Suggested the arrangement. All of it, every piece of this, I orchestrated it because I wanted you, and I didn't know how else to. Stop talking. Zara's hands were shaking. Just stop talking. Zara, you planned this? All of it? From the beginning. Her voice rose with each word. The kidnapping, the debt, keeping me here, it was all a lie? A manipulation. Not all of it. The feelings are real. What we have is what we have. She laughed, and it sounded broken. We don't have anything. We never did. Because it was all built on you lying to me. On you stealing me because you what? Wanted me like a toy? A possession. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Minjun? Explain to me how this is different from every other horrible thing you've done. He flinched like she'd hit him. I fell in love with you. The confession landed like a bomb. Zara stared at him, tears streaming down her face. You don't love me. You love the idea of me. The woman you created by trapping her. That's not love. That's ownership. No. I love you. The real you. The woman who fights me constantly. Who challenges everything I say. Who saved my life when she should have run. Who looks at me like I might be worth redeeming even though I'm not. His voice broke. I love you, Zara. That's the truth. Maybe the only real truth in all this. How am I supposed to believe anything you say? She wrapped her arms around herself. How do I know what's real and what's just another manipulation? Did you pay off the debt in month 1 like Regina said? He nodded slowly. So, for 7 months, you let me think I had to stay. You let me, she couldn't finish. The betrayal was too massive, too complete. I slept with you. I told you things I've never told anyone. I let myself fall for you thinking that despite how this started, maybe we'd found something real. It is real. Nothing about this is real. She was shouting now. You built this entire relationship on lies. On taking away my choice, my autonomy, my life. And you call that love? I call it the biggest mistake I've ever made. Minjun's face was stricken. And I've made a lot of mistakes. But falling for you wasn't one of them. Lying to you was. Keeping you when I should have let you go was. But loving you? That's the only true thing I've done in 17 years. Zara grabbed her phone, her jacket. I need to leave. Where are you going? I don't know. Away. Anywhere you're not. He moved toward her, then stopped himself. Park is out there. It's not safe. I don't care. Zara, please. You don't get to please me anymore. She was crying openly now. You don't get to pretend you care about my safety when you're the one who put me in danger. When you're the one who destroyed everything. I know, and I'm sorry, and his voice cracked. What can I do? Tell me what to do to fix this. You can't fix this. She headed for the door. This isn't something you can strategize or manipulate or control. You broke something that can't be put back together. Don't go. Not like this. Not when Park. I'd rather take my chances with Park than stay one more second with you. The words hit him like a physical blow. He stumbled back, and for a moment, he looked exactly like what he was, a broken man who destroyed the only good thing in his life. Zara opened the door. I love you. His voice was barely a whisper. I know I have no right to say that. I know you hate me. But I need you to know I love you. Real love. The kind that hurts. The kind that makes me wish I were anyone else so I could deserve you. The kind that... Stop. She couldn't look at him. Just stop. I can't hear this right now. Will you come back? The question was so small, so vulnerable, so unlike him that it almost broke her. I don't know. She walked out. Zara made it 3 blocks before the tears blinded her completely. She ended up in a coffee shop, tucked into a corner booth, trying to process the ruins of everything she thought she knew. Her phone buzzed constantly, Minjun calling, texting, begging her to come back or at least let him send security. She ignored it all. Rough day. The barista who brought her coffee was young, kind-faced. You could say that. Boy trouble. Zara laughed wetly. Boy trouble. Man trouble. Crime lord trouble. Take your pick. The barista's eyes widened. That's specific. Sorry. I'm not okay. At all. Zara wiped her eyes. Have you ever been in love with someone you should absolutely hate? Someone who's done terrible things, but also, her voice broke. But also makes you feel seen in a way you've never felt before? Can't say I have. But my mom always says the heart wants what it wants, even when the brain knows better. Your mom sounds wise. She's also been divorced 3 times, so maybe don't take her advice. The barista smiled sympathetically. For what it's worth, you seem like someone who'll figure it out. After she left, Zara sat with her coffee and her phone and her broken heart. She opened her messages. 17 from Minjun. I'm sorry. Please come back. I'll tell you everything. No more lies. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Just let me know you're safe. Zara, please. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The last one, sent 5 minutes ago, Regina called. She wants to talk to you. I'm sending you her number. She said she has information you need to hear. About me. About the debt. About everything. You deserve to hear it from her. Zara stared at the number. Her aunt. The woman who'd sold her. Who she hadn't spoken to in 8 months. She called. Regina answered on the first ring. Zara? Oh God, baby, is that you? It's me. Are you okay? Minjun called, said you left, said you found out about. Regina's voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it. He said you have information. I do. Things he didn't tell you because he thought he's trying to protect me, even now. Even after everything. Regina took a shaky breath. The debt. It was 50,000, like he said. But what he didn't tell you is I didn't just gamble it away. What? Your mother, my sister, before she died, she made me promise to take care of you. Get you through school, keep you safe. But I'm not good with money, Zara. Never have been. I took out loans to cover your tuition, your living expenses. The gambling came later when I was desperate and stupid. Zara's throat tightened. You were paying for my education? Every penny. And when the loans came due and I couldn't pay, I went to loan sharks. Which led to the Choice Syndicate. Which led to, she sobbed. Which led to me doing the worst thing I've ever done. Selling you to save myself. Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? Because your mother made me promise you'd finish school. That you'd have the life she never got to see you live. And I was so ashamed of failing that I just kept digging deeper. Regina's voice steadied. But here's what Minjun didn't tell you. He paid off my debt in the first month. All of it. And then he kept paying. Set up a trust fund so I'd never be in that position again. Made sure I had enough to live on. He what? He took care of me, Zara. Even though he had no reason to. Even though I'd sold you to him. He said you'd never forgive yourself if something happened to me, so he made sure nothing would. Zara couldn't speak. I talked to him yesterday, Regina continued. Before he told you the truth. He said he was going to come clean about everything because keeping you based on lies was killing him. He knew you'd leave. He knew you'd hate him. But he said you deserved the truth more than he deserved to keep you. I don't understand. He loves you, baby. Real love. The kind that sets you free even when it destroys you. He's not a good man, we both know that. But he's trying to be. For you. After they hung up, Zara sat in the coffee shop for a long time. Minjun had lied, manipulated, stolen her freedom. But he'd also protected her aunt. Told her the truth when he could have kept lying. Let her leave when he could have forced her to stay. And he looked at her like she was the only real thing in his fake world. Her phone buzzed. A text from Yuna. He's a mess. Won't eat. Won't sleep. Just sits there staring at nothing. I've never seen him like this. I'm not saying you owe him anything. But I thought you should know. Another text. Also, Park's people were spotted near your aunt's place. Minjun sent guards, but didn't tell you because he knew you'd think it was manipulation. It's not. He's just trying to keep the people you love safe. Zara closed her eyes. What did you do when the person who hurt you most was also the person trying hardest to make it right? What did you do when you hated someone and loved them simultaneously? What did you do when your heart and your head were at war and you had no idea which one to trust? She didn't have answers. But as the sun set outside the coffee shop, turning the sky orange and gold, Zara realized something. She wasn't ready to walk away. Not yet. Not until she knew if the love was real or just another beautiful lie. She stood, left money on the table, and walked out into the dying light. She had a choice to make. Stay or go. Forgive or forget. Love or leave. For the first time in 8 months, it was truly her choice. And that made it the hardest decision of her life. But knowing and forgiving are two different things. Can love built on lies become something real? Or will Park's next move force the decision for her? Watch out for part 2. You don't want to miss it.